Hello and a warm welcome to a brand new episode of South Central. The show you're watching is ET Now's big South India focused business news bulletin and India's only business news show to put the focus exclusively on South India. We're bringing you today's episode from the beautiful town of Visakhapatnam. My name is Jude Sanith and these are the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Karnataka Deputy CM DK Shivkumar skips the World Economic Forum in Davos to focus on political duties back home as Tamil Nadu also gives the summit a miss. Meanwhile, Andhra and Telangana CMs Chandrababu Naidu and Revanth Reddy depart for Davos. Chennai and Bengaluru see the highest residential price appreciation in 2025, says data from JLL. Chennai also records a whopping 31% growth in property sales through all of last year. Just months ahead of elections in Tamil Nadu, the AIADMK promises universal basic income of 2,000 rupees per month for all women voters in the state and free bus rides for men. Ahead of Republic Day celebrations next week, Kerala will see the start of the ambitious Phase 2 of its Vizhinjam port as Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayhan will flag off work on the high-profile infrastructure project. And EV players will have to live with no subsidies, but the union budget should focus on policy continuity, EV financing, and supply chain to incentivize investments. That's the word coming in from Bengaluru's Ostara Advisors in this South Central exclusive. Well, our top story first. If it's January in the world of business and the economy, it can mean only one thing, and that's the World Economic Forum in Davos. This year around, the Economic Summit is seeing the rather conspicuous absence of two states, that's Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar made a last-minute withdrawal from his participation at the summit, citing official work in New Delhi and Karnataka. The Congress strongman from Karnataka, reports say, is expected to be tasked with responsibilities surrounding the 2026 Assam elections and will need to be present at a series of meetings. The BJP, meanwhile, has trained its guns on both opposition-ruled governments in Karnataka as well as Tamil Nadu over missing their date with Davos. The party said it was a quote-unquote lost opportunity for both states. Tamil Nadu, which is neither sending Industries Minister TRB Raja nor a state-level delegation to Davos this year, has defended the move by citing the ongoing assembly session, the last one before elections, and the governor's closing address as the reason for giving the summit a miss. So both states, one Congress-governed and another DMK-ruled, will be giving the World Economic Forum a miss in 2026. Shifting focus from world economic policy to real estate now, India's housing sales may have shrunk 11% through 2025, but the latest data by JLL reveals that Bengaluru and Chennai saw an identical 13% growth in property prices through the year. In fact, Chennai alone accounted for an even more impressive 31% in year-on-year sales for 2026, selling a total of 14,837 homes through the entire year. Now, for context, every other market, including stronger ones like Bengaluru, NCR, and MMR, saw significant decline in year-on-year sales for 2025. Chennai also recorded a double-digit growth in residential launches. Beyond the south, India's premium residential segment, homes priced between 1.5 crore rupees and 3 crore rupees, that is, saw its share in India's overall residential sales for the year expand from 53% to 63% in 2025. That pretty much means nearly 2 out of every 3 homes sold last year was priced between 1.5 crore rupees and 3 crore rupees, an astounding statistic that has begun signaling the growth of India's premium residential market. Well, the AIADMK on its part is already slipping into poll mode, and its first list of poll promises are doing the talking. Party Supremo Edapadi K. Palaniswamy has said that if voted to power, the party will ensure universal basic income of 2,000 rupees per woman voter. The party also said it would extend free bus rides for working women to working men as well. The AIADMK, remember, has promised a housing for all scheme in both urban as well as rural areas, an employment guarantee scheme totaling to 150 days, as well as a two-wheeler subsidy totaling to 25,000 rupees to 5 lakh women in the state of Tamil Nadu. Well, it seems like social spending is bound to be the theme of yet another election in Tamil Nadu. But speaking of politics in the state, actor Vijay turned up for questioning at the CBI in New Delhi yet again today. The actor-turned-politician and TVK chief is being grilled by the investigating agency over the deadly stampede in Karur in late September, which killed 41 attendees at one of Vijay's poll rallies in the town. The CBI, if you recall, has been conducting multiple rounds of questioning as it investigates what led to the stampede and how culpable Vijay, local administration, and members of the TVK have been in the tragic event. Shifting focus to Telangana now, the state's Chief Minister Revant Reddy has launched a fierce attack on the BJP at an event in Khammam, accusing the party of threatening India's democratic framework and the constitution through the Special Intensive Revision or SIR of electoral rolls. The Chief Minister claimed the BJP is attempting to strip the poor of their voting rights and said that the centre is using the SIR to maintain power indefinitely, equating the party's actions to a threat once posed by the British regime. The Chief Minister also called for a united fight, exhorting the Congress and left-leaning parties to quote-unquote save democracy. From politics to ports now, the Vizhinjam International Seaport in Kerala is set to move into the next phase of expansion, with the second phase of port development scheduled to begin on January 24th. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan will inaugurate the phase, which will see major capacity augmentation, including additional berths, extension of the breakwater, and the launch of full-scale cargo handling operations. The expansion being executed by Adani Ports is aimed at transforming Vizhinjam into a major transshipment hub on India's southern coastline, thereby reducing dependence on foreign ports and strengthening the country's maritime trade infrastructure. The second phase of the Vizhinjam port will involve an investment of around 10,000 crore rupees by Adani Ports and SEZ Limited, aimed at significantly scaling up the port's capacity. Once completed, annual container handling is expected to rise from the current 1.5 million TEUs to nearly 5 million TEUs. As part of the expansion, an existing 800-meter berth will be extended to 2,000 meters, while the 3-kilometer breakwater will be lengthened to 4 kilometers, enabling the port to handle multiple ultra-large container vessels simultaneously. Well, moving on to our big exclusive of the day, EV players, it seems, will have to wake up to a new reality without EV subsidies and rework business models. That's the word coming in from the founder and CEO of Bengaluru-based Ostara Advisors, Vasudha Madhavan. Now, in an exclusive chat with ET Now's South Central, Vasudha told me that the upcoming union budget will have to explore policy continuity and EV financing while focusing on supply chain and outsourcing to make the most of India's EV growth story. She also told us that the key investment themes to watch out for in 2026 for VC players in India's startup ecosystem. Here's a slice of that conversation.
I think overall, I would say that Indian startup ecosystem, there has been a lot of positive. I mean, the biggest news is, of course, so many exits, so many IPOs. So investors seeing exits in companies that they invested in many years ago, has created value. So I think that is a pretty big, pretty important positive that we should all note. Overall, I think investments overall in the ecosystem, in the overall startup ecosystem, have been at around $33 billion. Roughly flat from 2024. So in that sense, it's neither positive nor negative. I do believe that it is Indian startup ecosystem is at a very good place right now. A lot of themes have scaled up, fintech. AI is now coming in multiple. Agentic AI is receiving a very large chunk of investments.
Right.
So I think there are multiple subsectors within the overall startup ecosystem that are attracting good amounts of capital. And India remains one of the most preferred destinations for growth capital and is on everybody's radar.
Absolutely. And that is no doubt great news for the startup ecosystem itself, given that the country's startup ecosystem and industry is still very much in its infancy with so much to go. The upside is still to be had, many analysts would say. But you're seeing more interest in climate tech now than before. What's that outlook and growth trajectory like, Vasudha, in this space?
In climate tech?
Yes.
So climate tech is an industry or an investment theme that didn't really exist. It's completely new, as a sector. You can say that it has basically been an area which has emerged in the last 2, 3, 4 years. And it's all started with electric mobility, clean mobility, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. When some of the bigger funding raises sort of started to happen. The first big raise that was, Tata Cars raising $1 billion in 2021 from TPG Rise Fund and so on. So, that is when it kind of all started. So EVs was the first part. Now we're looking at climate tech breaking up into so many new sectors, everything from alternate energy to, how can we do more circular economy, more sustainability-based materials, how can you have, recycled materials being used in many more of our consumer average day-to-day products. So everything that you can think about which is good and sustainable for the planet is now becoming an attractive business. And that is, to me, is the biggest good news. Funding is waking up to these new themes. The traditional funders or traditional VCs which have looked at consumer and technology, the broader VC market. So when I said 33 billion in funding last year, climate tech would have probably received less than maybe 7 to 10% or maybe less than that overall. And that is something that is set to grow. So I'm very, very excited about where we are today in climate tech. It has become a broad theme that people now recognize. It's an area that we started working almost 10 years ago. So we just had a ringside view to how it has evolved over time. So it's really, really exciting to see that EVs have become mainstream. There are many other areas like biofuels, alternative cooling technologies, sustainable materials. All of this is becoming more mainstream.
Right. So from 7 to 10% of a share, that no doubt a conservative one not too long ago. Where do you see that share increasing to as time goes by? And what were the numbers like in 2025?
2025, I would say that we probably done, I don't have the numbers yet, would probably be around 1.5 to 2 billion, something like that in the overall climate tech space and including EV, for instance. And I think the numbers are expected to grow. So what typically has helped funding growth in this space is positive policy. That gives people a cue, that gives companies the comfort that, if you're doing something in sustainability, if you're coming up with a new material or if you're coming up with new alternate clean energy business, then policy is there to support us. There is an incentive. And that always sets the ball rolling. And then when these businesses start to scale up, equity capital feels more, encouraged to come in. So that sort of positive vicious cycle is, I would say, the flywheel is starting to happen right now.
I'm glad you talk about areas that will see a whole lot more promise. So are you seeing a case where even as Bengaluru's or India's overall startup ecosystems, tech-driven startups see a bit of a flat investment trajectory?
Yeah.
The dearth of new investments there could actually mean more investments in climate tech. Is there a correlation of sorts? And if yes, which
yeah.
areas of climate tech?
Yeah, so I would say that India has become now an undisputed, attractive investment destination. So it does not have to be climate tech at the expense of the other parts of the startup ecosystem, right? I think both will grow, in equal measure, or some, maybe climate tech has a faster rate of growth and funding because it's really so at an inception stage right now. But overall, I think we are set to grow. From a, when you say that, what could be the driving factors or what could be the tipping points, etc. I think we are there already in many industries. We are looking at now policy becoming, for instance, the government has said that now companies, 118 companies in we call them hard to abate sectors like steel and, cement and all of these sectors, they actually now need to monitor their emissions and then see what, they can do to move towards net zero. So as we keep doing this as a country, we have that net zero goal. So all the policies and all the businesses that are trying to now benefit from these positive policies will, move in that direction. And that will give equity capital, growth capital a lot more sort of encouragement.
So in keeping with this itself, which areas in climate tech or which themes in climate tech or technologies within climate tech are you the most bullish or excited about?
Right. So I would say that renewable energies has been a big theme for us. Earlier it has been asset companies, building out large assets. I think renewables, whether it's solar or wind, nuclear, these continue to be pretty important themes for us. As a country, as we move towards decarbonizing our energy source, I think there's just almost an unlimited demand for energy right now, and it will continue to grow. So that will remain a pretty big theme, as we've also seen in some of the IPOs that happened in 2025. A lot of clean energy companies got listed. The other big theme is new energy. So when you say new energy, we are talking about waste to energy. So you can convert, all kinds of different plant materials into energy, gas or fuels, etc. So these are all big themes. How can this be now included into our day-to-day lives now? So all of that is happening. So I would say that alternate energy, clean energy is a pretty big theme. We are also looking at sustainable materials. So anything that you use in a Starbucks or even in your furniture can now have an alternative which is more sustainable. So these are all businesses and areas that we believe can have,
a massive upside,
massive upside
going forward. Let me ask you, we're just a few days away now from the union budget itself. Where do you think, and I know for a fact that the government over the last few years has devoted, in fact, entire portions of the FM's budget speech itself towards renewables, clean energy, and given the market for sustainability a bit of a push. But specifically on the policy front, what kind of policy levers do you think the government should look at pulling in the upcoming union budget itself so as to ensure that all the promise that the clean energy space holds for it, all the emerging companies and startups that come out of this ecosystem can actually go about seeing businesses boom and grow and propel the entire sector forward? What policy levers do you feel the upcoming budget should go about moving or pulling to make this happen?
Thanks. I think that's a great question. Policy-wise, what we've done really well is incentivize all the right things. For instance, if you go back to 2015, we were already starting to incentivize EV purchases. So we had incentives and, for anybody that bought a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler or even a car and so on. So now those subsidies have kind of come to a more natural, because they're already getting adopted. So that incentive really helped in people getting aware of it. Similarly, we've also done now incentives or, areas in the production side, like the National Critical Minerals Mission, or we've done the PLI scheme for battery, for advanced chemistry battery manufacturing. All of these are areas where the government has already taken the first step and pushed companies to go in that direction, to invest in that direction, so that they can also then partner and support these companies. So I think these policy levers have to continue to be pushed. What we do need is, of course, policy certainty over the 3 to 5, 10-year period, so we know exactly how the policy is going to progress. What often can happen is if you have announced something and the policy has come through, and we really need the certainty and the predictability of the policy to be there so that companies can plan their investments.
Right.
Private sector can plan their investments for the next 3 to 5 years, because all of this does require a fair amount of capex. I think the carbon reporting, monitoring standards that are coming in, the carbon credit trading scheme that has been announced in India is also a big positive. I believe that this is also something that should be encouraged. So more of creating a vibrant carbon market could be a really, really big positive in India in the year to come. So
Absolutely.
That's something that I would look at.
And surely continuity is no doubt a big part of
Yes.
ensuring that there continues to remain sustained investor interest insofar as climate and subsectors therein and thereof concerned. I'm particularly interested in EVs, and I know for a fact that you do a fair bit of work in EVs itself. In fact, overseeing that Crompton Greaves acquisition of Ampere quite a while ago now. What kind of an upside can we expect in the EV sector? EV adoption has been spoken of so much. And like you said, it's not a new topic to discuss. 2015 onwards, we've seen a lot of government push in this space. Where do we go from here, Vasudha, on the EV front? Do you see the trajectory continuing? There are naysayers, there are doubts cast over whether India can adopt at the pace that is universally expected, or even at a pace that has been happening in the recent past. There's talk about moving to hybrid as opposed to EV itself. As someone working so closely in the space, where do you see EV adoption going from here, and India's overall EV ecosystem growing?
Yeah, sure. So for the one big way in which we stand out compared to the rest of the world is that India is a 2- and 3-wheeler market. We are 75 to 80% 2- and 3-wheelers. Okay, we are not about our cars. Our cars are 6 to 7% of the overall sales and market. So when you just look at that itself, the words hybrid don't matter, because there is no hybrid in the 3-wheeler space right now. So what we actually need and what we've really seen is adoption being really fast in commercial use cases in the 2- and 3-wheeler segment. All your deliveries, all your last mile logistics, mid mile logistics are converting to EV at a fast pace. What has held back EV adoption or has made it little bit of ups and downs, which can always happen in any new industry like this, is that financing and all the other support systems that are needed for India to grow its EV adoption have also been in WIP phase, right? So, for instance, supply chain. So, you need batteries, you need motors, you need new components for an EV than what you needed to make a regular ICE scooter or an ICE 3-wheeler. So, and India is setting up in all of this. Today, we have mature large companies which provide all of these things, or in some areas where we are import dependent, like in battery cells, in lithium-ion battery cells, we are doing two things. One, we are coming up with our own gigafactories for which there is a PLI scheme that's applicable. And